Hello everyone, my name is JC Nolan, and you're listening to Blood and Ink. Man, you guys are in for a treat today. We are going to start off with our Fright Bite. It's an Am I the Asshole story. It's spooky, and let me tell you, I do think that they are the asshole. Then later on, we're going to be joined by friend Sally, who is going to recap a movie with me and Ashleigh, and that movie is Longlegs. It's the 2024 film, and we have some strong opinions. But before we get into all that, let's go over some news. So, I'll start off with some sad news. Morris, the Hollywood alligator, has passed away. He was the star of the 1980 film Alligator, and the sequel, Alligator 2. Morris passed away in his retirement home at the Colorado Gator Farm. He was active in Hollywood until 2006, and appeared in movies like Happy Gilmore, Interview with a Vampire, Blues Brother 2000, Eraser, and Dr. Dolittle 2. So he's got quite the resume. He was estimated to be between 80 and 100 years old, so he lived a good life. R.I.P. Morris. Moving on to some game news, there is a game out called Gore Doctor, and this game originally was only available on Steam. However, now it is available on Xbox and will be available for the PS5 on May 27th. This first-person game puts you in Dr. Gorberg's institute. Dr. Gorberg, he was once an esteemed psychiatrist, but after being struck with some tragedy, he descended into madness and turned his institute into a torturous hellscape. So it's your job in this game to navigate and escape while solving puzzles and overcoming enemies, and these enemies are the experimental mutated subjects of Dr. Gorberg. While I watched the trailer of this game, it's very dark and actually dark, visually hard to see. It's like you just have a little flashlight as you're going through is what I was seeing, and those kind of games scare the crap out of me. I sit there tense as all hell, and as soon as something pops up, I scream like a little girl. But I don't know. I love to put myself through that. What does that say about me? And last piece of news, Friday the 13th, the franchise really has just had its 45th anniversary this month and revealed a new logo for what they're calling the Jason universe. If you don't know, there were some legal battles between the screenwriter and the director, which caused the franchise to pretty much go dormant, but that has now all been settled, and now we wait to see what comes next. We know that Friday the 13th has a prequel series. It's called Crystal Lake. It's entered production, and it's going to stream on Peacock, but there's currently no premiere date. But yeah, I'm just excited to see this being branded as a universe. I'm expecting to see a lot more moving forward in the future. That's all I had for news today. So without further ado, let's get right into our Fright Bite. Today's story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Refusing to Let My Roommate Have Guests Over After 9 p.m.? Written by C. Paper 7418. I, 26 male, live with my roommate, Jay, 27 male, in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a pretty average neighborhood. We've been roommates for about 7 months. Things were mostly fine at first. We split bills, shared basic chores, even watched a few movies together early on. It was civil. The only issue is that Jay constantly has people over late. I'm talking 10:30, 11 p.m., sometimes even after midnight, on weeknights. I work early shifts. I value routine, quiet, order. And these people, his friends, don't respect that. Loud laughter, clinking bottles, stomping footsteps. They fill the kitchen and spill into the hall like they live here. So I set a boundary. No guests after 9 p.m. I didn't yell. I wasn't rude. I made a nice sign with a polite message and a little smiley face, stuck it on the fridge. I thought it was a reasonable compromise. But Jay laughed when he saw it. Took a picture and sent it to someone saying I was 1 PowerPoint away from a mental break. He left his phone on the table. I saw the message. I didn't say anything at the time. I just remembered. After that, his friends started coming over deliberately after 9. Whispering, glancing at my closed door like they were daring me to say something. One night I heard, clear as day, let's see if he comes out again. So I started enforcing the rule. No shouting, no confrontation, just reminders. I turned off the Wi-Fi, I unplugged the router and hid it in my room. I locked the bathroom from the inside so they'd have to leave if they needed to use it. Sometimes I'd just stand at the end of the hall in the dark, not saying a word, just watching. Jay got mad, said I was being scary on purpose, that I was ruining his social life. I calmly explained this is my home too. I need things to be peaceful, predictable. He didn't understand. He said, I need help, that I make people feel unsafe. But they were in my space, weren't they? Then something happened last Friday. I came home from work and the hallway closet, the one I always keep locked, was open. The padlock was off. Someone had gone through my things. Not stolen, just disturbed. Moved. My jars were shifted. I keep certain items organized very precisely. Bones, hair, teeth, nothing huge. Just little tokens, personal mementos, cleaned, cataloged, hidden. Jay swore it wasn't him. Said maybe one of his idiot friends opened it. He laughed like it was nothing. So I told him no more guests ever. He said that's not how roommates work and threatened to move out, which would be a shame. He's got a good heart, even if it beats too loudly. Anyway, I've been keeping things quieter myself since then. I put soundproof padding on the walls and under the door. Jay's been oddly still for the past few days. I think he's finally learning how to respect the silence. Am I the asshole? Dude, I love that short story. I love this Fright Bite. It's a nod to Reddit. It's super cool. It's super creepy. And it's giving Worst Roommate Ever vibes, which is a show on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty dark and those roommates are awful, just like the roommate in this story. cpaper7418 is the author of this story. He writes a bunch of stuff on Reddit, so I'm going to include his Reddit profile in the show notes so you can check out some of his other stuff. In addition to that, they also have a YouTube channel where they narrate their own short stories. I'll also put that in the show notes as well if you want to listen to cpaper7418 narrate their own stuff. All right, and now it's time for our movie recap, and the movie we are recapping today is Longlegs. It's a 2024 film, and I am here with Ashleigh, as usual.
Hello.
And my good friend Sally. Hi, Sally. Welcome.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, like I said, movie's Longlegs, 2024 film directed by Oz Perkins, and listen to this budget. This is so funny. The budget is under 10 million.
Just under? They didn't give a specific.
It didn't. No specific.
They were just like, just don't go over 10 million.
Under
Sorry.
10 million. So we don't know what that is. Some reports say 3 million, and I'm like, that's a big gap. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But we know the movie was under $10 million. This movie follows Special Agent Lee Harker as she attempts to uncover a sting of family-asides that have all coded notes found on scene. I didn't know that family-aside was a word.
I also did not.
I didn't either.
Actually, I was like, solve that riddle when you just said it.
Yeah, it is.
I had to think about that a couple times, actually.
It is the murder-suicide of, like,
of
family.
a whole family.
Yeah,
Interesting. You learn something new every day.
I know, right? So this movie got 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so it did pretty well. Now, Sally, I know you like this movie.
I did like this movie.
And I'm shocked that it did this well. I felt like this was not the strongest movie.
It wasn't, for a lot of reasons. But that doesn't mean I didn't like it.
Towards the end, I always say, like, my final thoughts, and I've got some final thoughts on this movie. I'll say that
already.
much.
Strong feelings.
But I was like, am I crazy? Because there's some movies I watch, and I'm like, this was amazing. What a work of art. And then I look, and it's got, like, 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, what the
Those
fuck?
are the worst. And you're just like, why?
I'm like, what is wrong with people? Did you really not?
What are these critics doing?
I know.
They need to rethink their lives.
But we'll just jump right in to the movie with the opening card that's shown first thing, and that shows some song lyrics. The song lyrics say, well, you're slim and you're weak. You've got teeth of the Hydra upon you. You're dirty, sweet, and you're my girl. And that's a 1971 song by T-Rex. I actually didn't write down the name of the song. I just wrote that it was by this person. So
yeah, I don't even remember what the name was. I think they said it. No, I don't know if they said it.
I don't know. I looked it up, though, and I don't remember. But at first, I didn't really understand what that lyric meant, but some things that I deduced here, a Hydra is a Greek mythological creature. Every time that one of its heads gets cut off, it sprouts like two more. So basically it's something that you cannot get away from. So that's that opening card. After the opening card, we are shown a scene from the past. It's got kind of old style camera, and we see a young girl inside of her house as a car pulls up. Now this young girl goes outside to check out what's going on. What the hell? Don't do that.
Right, literally.
She's like 8.
Yeah, so she's like 8, home alone, and she's like, oh, somebody's here. Let me go check that out.
Let me go look at this creepy car.
So she goes outside, and we hear just the creepiest sound. It's a man going, cuckoo. like what? You don't see him. You don't know where he is.
And that's not even it's so much creepier than how you just did it. But it's hard to impersonate because it's just like so... It's like a whisper. Yeah. It's like a creepy whisper that comes in your nightmares. That's the best way I can remember to describe it.
I think every time this person spoke, it felt like a creepy nightmare.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
She goes into the backyard to try to find where this noise came from. Again, don't do that. What the hell? But Longlegs.
That's horror movie 101.
All right.
Don't follow the creepy noise.
Longlegs, who is our antagonist character, he jumps out and scares this little girl. He is this older man, pale-faced, almost deformed-looking face, stringy hair, just generally weird and freaky. And he's played by Nicolas Cage.
Literally. I wrote in my notes, I was like, flashback scene for the little girl meeting creepy Nick Cage. What in the world Nicolas Cage is in this creepy movie? But anyway.
I thought that it was super cool too, the camera part on this, because you don't actually see like the top half of his face during this scene. And I think that's because we're seeing it from her height, you know?
Yeah, I can see that.
So that makes sense because she's a little girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nicolas Cage is playing Longlegs. I did not expect it. And I didn't expect what I saw in this movie, but he did a great job at being super fucking weird, like Nicolas Cage does.
So creepy.
No, he has like a whole prosthetic, like nose situation happening, and
like prosthetic cheeks.
It doesn't look like him, but it sounds like as if Nicolas Cage is trying to make a creepy, weird voice
with a lot of
so
prosthetic.
Nothing matches to me. Like.
And then I think he says some stuff to this little girl. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the heck he was saying.
I think he said something along the lines of, hold on, I put my long legs on today. And then he like drops down in camera view.
Yep. And then
because his legs like shorten or something. It was very strange. But I remember him saying something about him putting on his long legs today. And then he dropped down. And then you could see his face, and it cuts.
It cuts very quickly. So you barely see his face. After that scene cuts, we move to the future now.
Or I guess the present.
That's right, the present. And we are in a new scene where there is a police briefing happening, and we meet our main character, Lee Harker. They are basically getting briefed as the police officers are about to go canvass some neighborhoods looking for some murderer. So Harker and her partner go. That's a weird sentence to say.
Yeah, that is a weird sentence. That's a tongue twister right there.
So Lee and her partner.
Yes.
Lee and her partner go. They start canvassing a neighborhood, and Harker looks over to this house. I think it's 3225 is the number of the house, and she's just staring at it, and she goes, "I think the guy's in there," or says something along those lines that makes you think, "Oh, is she psychic? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So her and her partner go back and forth. He's like, I don't want to do this just based off of a hunch. We're not going to call it in, because Harker wants to call for backup. She's like, no, the guy's in there. Mm-hmm. He decides, no, we're not going to call for backup. I'm just going to knock on the door. So he does. The door opens, and this guy immediately shot in the head.
Immediately. Just drops.
Right? And
just see,
it was
blood
crazy.
Splatter.
Yes.
Literally.
And in my opinion, that was one of the best scenes in the movie, because you're like, not expecting, and then it's just like, oh shit, like this just went 0 to 100.
Yeah, this just got real serious.
So at this point, Harker is freaking out. She's kind of heavy breathing, but she goes inside the house because she is a police officer. She kind of has to,
Yes.
Mm-hmm. She goes into the house. That we see that the house is empty. It's just covered in plastic everywhere, so that gives you a bad vibe. It's very serial killer kind of vibe.
Very like murder party in a warehouse vibes.
Mm-hmm. And then Harker goes inside. She catches the guy upstairs, and I thought this was weird. He just easily gave himself up. He's just he's sitting on a bed, hands up, and he's like, "All right, take me." And I was like, "So, why'd you just shoot that other guy in the head?"
Exactly.
What the hell is going on here?
Lots of questions.
Yeah, so we skip scene. We are at the police station, and we see Harker is taking this weird mental test with different pictures. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like they're testing her psychic abilities. I believe that's what the test is.
They kind of allude to it like it is. Mm-hmm. Because when she finishes, they're like, oh, we knew that you were, you had some psychic abilities because of how you answered these and stuff like that. So it definitely alludes to the fact that they're testing her.
Which I wrote a note. Ability. I wrote a note here, and it's like they allude so much to Harker being a psychic in the beginning of this movie, but then they don't explain it, and it just kind of goes away. Yeah, they don't talk about it again.
Yeah,
what was the point of that?
There's a lot of dots left unconnected.
See, and that's why I think probably that it did not get very good reviews on major websites, because there are so many plot holes.
But it did get such good reviews. That's why I'm confused.
It did, but it was like, okay,
Yeah.
3 stars out of 5 is okay to me.
Jesse thinks that's a good rating.
I think that's an average. I do. I think that's an averagely good rating.
That's fair.
So Lee Harker joins 2 cops. One is her boss, William Carter, and they
could not for the life of me remember his name throughout the whole movie.
I did not know it. I had to look it up afterwards.
Oh,
I don't even know if they
did they even say it.
I don't know.
I don't think
but
they did.
I call him Sergeant Carter. Okay. I don't even know if he's a sergeant. I don't know who he is. He's
that's fair.
I know he's her boss, so that's what I've got.
This is true. Yes.
Lee Harker joins her boss and this other police officer in a car to view a home where a family was recently killed. They kind of talk about taking Lee inside of the home, but decide that she's not ready for it, and they don't take her in. But they do explain what happened, that the father went crazy, killed the family, killed himself, and that this has now happened to 10 families that they know of so far. But they believe somebody else has something to do with it, because there are these notes being left behind, which they have not been able to decode, and they are all signed by Longlegs. Mm-hmm. We go back to the station. Sergeant Carter shows Harker the case files and fills her in on more information. They found that a commonality between the families is that all the girls have birthdays on the 14th of the month. So, yeah.
It's like that thread that they could follow. And this is actually where I wrote my first question to myself, because I have a lot of questions in this movie. But I said, Agent Harker, here's the first question. Was she the little girl at the beginning scene? And then after we learn that all of the daughters have birthdays on the 14th of whatever month, I was like, is this the same month? Or are they all different months? And because there's like so much time between the murders, like, is this person someone that just gets summoned every like so often? Like it's a rhythmic, you know, like every 5 to 7 years or something like that, this guy has to come back and just murder a family. Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, and I feel like they do explain a little bit of that, but I don't think they explain it well.
They don't explain it well. Which is another hole in this movie for me.
Yeah. And I don't want to answer your questions yet because, like I said, we'll get to you know, the parts
this
where
is
they
like
do kind of explain
This is like me stream of consciousness through the movie, just writing stuff down.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
So we see Lee Harker do this cop montage where she's looking into the case. She has everything laid out on the floor in front of her. She's working very hard to the point where she falls asleep. And Sergeant Carter, who is her boss, opens the door, says she needs to chill out a little bit. Hey, let's go get a drink. And Harker does not drink, but her boss does. So her boss is like, great, you can drive me then. And I thought that was kind of funny.
It was a little strange, actually.
Yeah.
It was a professional relationship.
It was definitely a little cringy.
Yeah, I was getting weird vibes.
I was a little bit as well.
And so they go to the bar and they start discussing theories and just kind of what she's learned in the case and things like that. It's time to go home. Harker is driving her boss home. They get to the house and her boss is like, all right, now you got to come inside and meet my family.
Oh, yeah. Time out on this part because holy crap. What in the world? Like,
so awkward.
So strange. And also, after this scene, I was like, there were so many theories just floating around in my head. Because this is what I do when I watch movies, especially horror movies. It's like, I have to try to figure out the puzzle before we get to the end of the movie because that's just how my brain works. And so at this point, I had like 2 theories. One of them was that Longlegs is summoned, that he returns every so often, and that he finds this little girl, he possesses the daughter, and then the girl as Longlegs kills the entire family.
Ooh, I do. See, I think that would have made for a better movie.
Why didn't you write this movie?
I don't know.
It would have been better.
I mean...
I feel like that's a way better film.
Calling. I've missed my calling.
So that was number 1.
You're young. You've got time.
I've got time, yeah. Oh, that's the first one. I'm sorry. There's another one later on.
Oh, okay. So that's just so right now you have one.
I have
theory.
that one. That was the working theory at this point in the story.
I like that theory.
I was just definitely wondering, like, okay, does his daughter have something to do with it? Because you like are meeting this little girl right after they're kind of
yeah, and I'm sure you're going to describe that scene because that scene was creepy.
Yeah, and then like I don't know,
so
the wife
weird.
just was like also I don't know, everything felt very painfully awkward about that whole scene.
Yeah,
very
much. It was nighttime, right? It was like dark.
Yeah, because it seemed like they were like out drinking for a while, and he was like, "Oh, now I'm drunk. You have to drive me home to my wife and kid."
Yeah, and I'm like, it's nighttime. If you came home drunk with somebody that dropped you off, and it's nighttime, I'm putting the kids to bed and stuff. And you just walk inside with them and be like, what the hell is this person doing in my house right now? You know?
Oh, because, no, it was, I think they say it's like around midnight because the little girl's like, oh yeah, it's really late. And the mom comes in to like put her to bed and she's like, oh, well, it's tomorrow already.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I think it was like after midnight when he got home. So just painting a picture like this 8 or 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Whose dad is coming home at like after midnight. With this random lady.
And yeah, so Harker goes inside. She meets the wife who is, in my opinion, the wife, she seemed a little put off. She seemed a little like, oh, there's someone here at first, you know? And then she meets...
Understandably.
Yeah. She meets Carter's daughter who is about to have a birthday party tomorrow. And I think we learn that her birthday is on the 14th. Tomorrow is the 14th.
Yes, we do learn that.
Yeah. So they have this weird, Harker feels awkward. It's very obvious. And I think Harker is supposed to be portraying some maybe autistic tendencies as well. So she already has like, she's kind of quiet. And
yeah, she's a little awkward.
Doesn't make eye contact, things like that. And the little girl asks Harker to like come in her bedroom. My social anxiety, it would kill me. I would be like, oh, no, thank you. like no way.
This part killed me because it's evident that she's just so uncomfortable. And then the little girl really doesn't talk to her at all. She's just kind of like,
they're just like,
this is my bedroom. And they're just sitting there.
Sitting on her bed, like, just kind of looking around.
It's very uncomfortable.
Making occasional eye contact. It's
yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very painfully uncomfortable.
They did a good job of, like, creating that tension, though.
Mm-hmm. And creating, like, the kind of weirdness around the little girl. I feel like they did pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And this is an important scene because the little girl does invite Harker to her birthday party the next day.
Yes.
And that becomes a big deal.
It does.
So, moving forward, Harker drives home. She's got a house in the middle of the woods, which was a cool house. It had huge open windows, as in horror movies they always do. So she goes inside and she calls her mom. It's obvious at this point they have a strained relationship, and I thought at first the mom was kind of bitchy.
Yeah, it was that first phone call was very uncomfortable. It was very forced, like it had to take place.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like it was like, oh, Harker's like calling her mom after a hard day at work and being like, oh, Mom, you want to hear about my day? No, it was like, I wrote down what she says because I just thought it was so weird when she says...
The mom or Harker?
No, Harker.
Okay.
And she's like, is that my daughter? Like the mom? And then Harker goes, still your only daughter. Which
she says multiple times every time she talks to her mom. And so at that point I was like, okay, there's something weird here where, like, maybe she did have a sister and she was, like, given to... I don't know. I was like, okay, this is going to come back. But that never... I think that was just a red herring.
Yeah, they just let that linger, too.
Mm-hmm. And then Harker's mom is super, what I initially thought, religious, because she asks, every time they talk, she asks, have you been doing your prayers? Mm-hmm. So that was something I noticed as well. So they're talking on the phone, and then all of a sudden, Harker's door starts being banged on. Somebody is banging on her door. Harker, I think she tells her mom, all right, I gotta go, right? Hangs up. And she goes and grabs her gun. And I'm like, fuck yeah, because you never see that happen in movies.
Goodness.
I was like, oh, here we go. She's going to walk over to the door. She's going to open it.
Walk out and just get captured because, that's what happens.
Fall down and twist her ankle. So yeah, she gets her gun. She's doing whole cop mode. Looks out the door. She does not go outside initially. And then when... walking through her house and looking out the window, she sees somebody standing outside somewhere. You can just see kind of the silhouette of somebody. They're standing in the background. And the way I would not go outside, the way I would be like, okay, yeah, somebody's out there and I'm not going out there.
You'd see me calling 911.
Well, she is 911 though.
Yeah. Well, guess what? There's other 911.
Yeah, we need more 911, please. Yeah.
And of course, like, this is now, you think about it, she dropped her partner off at midnight. And then now we're probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But she goes outside. Again, she is a cop.
She sure does.
she goes outside. She's looking around where the person was.
To all of our chagrin.
Yeah. And now she turns around and she sees somebody walking inside of her, like through the window. She can see somebody walking through her house right where she was before.
Yeah.
So that was a freaky scene. I did like that scene. She goes inside, finds a birthday card left on her desk. It says, don't open until the 14th.
And at this point I said, is her birthday the 14th? Because here I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. She has something to do with this.
And that's what I was like, okay, this is where we learned her birthday is the 14th. Mm-hmm. And this is where I was also like, okay, so that opening scene was her. Yeah. That's what I was like,
that's when it kind of solidified it for me too. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay.
So what's in the card? It's a message decoder.
Yes.
It's Longlegs message decoder. So that way Harker can decode all of the messages that have been left at different homes. Mm-hmm. The card does say that if Harker says anything about how she learned how to decode these messages, it says something about like ripping her mom's tits off or something. Am I wrong?
The code, the card is written in the code, and then he gives her, those word games that I used to play because I'm a nerd.
What you're talking about.
But they have all jumbled letters, and then they give you like one word that has 3 letters or something like that, and then you figure it out. And so she does that with that, and I wrote down, it's a poem threatening to cut Harker's mom's tits off if she says where she learned the code from.
Yeah, which I thought was weird, but also kind of funny this movie. It was just like, what the fuck?
It was a little out in left field, because I'm like, okay, cool, like, you could threaten to kill her mom, like, whatever. Okay, that seems normal for a horror movie. This was just kind of like, I'm sorry, her tits?
Yeah.
Like, what's so special about this woman's boobs? Are they made of gold? Like, what is happening right now? So, yeah, that one is a little weird for me.
And while Harker's reading this, in the background, we see a demon shadow that starts to appear.
Yeah.
And we do see that a couple of times.
Yes.
Now, when I looked up some information on this movie, there's a total of 15 demon shadows in the background. I did not see 15.
I did not see 15.
We gotta rewatch it and count.
Yeah, we do. That's gonna be the next goal. But I'm wondering if they, like, count, like, the silhouette when she's looking out the window as something like that. Maybe.
That's
very interesting.
Yeah, I just saw that there was, like I said, 15 Easter eggs of, like, demons in the background. That's, but again, I think I saw
unlocked, apparently. So.
I think I saw like 3. You know,
I feel like 3 or 4.
Yeah. So we move on to the next day.
This is my second theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so at this point, I'm like, all right, we have some information about her. We have some information about her mom. And I'm like, okay, now they're part of a satanic cult, and the prayers are the mom's way of protecting her from the devil. But she stopped praying. So now she's getting those demon influences.
See, again,
leading into her psychic abilities.
Again, solid theory.
I'm telling you.
Not accurate, but solid.
No, it's not accurate at all. But
yeah, there's
with the information given,
there's so many directions this movie could have gone in.
So many.
I don't want to start on that soapbox though, because I'll start going off. That'll be my final thoughts. That's
totally fair.
So yeah, the next day, another family is found murdered. But although they were just found murdered, it actually happened about a month ago. They receive another coded
because
note.
They were like super decomposed, but
not
unrealistically decomposed in the movie.
Full of maggots, but still looking like actual identifiable human bodies.
Which is completely inaccurate.
Yeah, it was super bad. But Harker goes there. Her boss calls, says that she's got to get down there, and starts doing, her cop stuff, looking around, looking for clues, all that. And they receive another coded note, but she's able to decode this one because now she knows how to do so. And the note says something like, too slow.
Yeah.
And so you're like,
oh, wow, yes, obviously, because they've obviously been just decomposing for a month.
Yeah, definitely too slow. So Harker decides to do some research, and she's trying to figure out how long this has actually been going on, because now we have 11 families, but she's thinking that this might have been going on way longer than what they have. So she goes to the library, and she's using that cool machine that you see in all movies where they just like get to go through old newspapers and like slides across. Yeah. I have no clue what that is. Right? I don't know what
they're called, but
it's literally I feel like that's in like every horror movie. But she starts writing down a ton of dates because she is seeing that, there's other families that this happened to and this might fit. Somehow, and this is a part I really don't like.
That's fair.
She writes down these numbers, and then she's like, oh, look, it makes a triangle. And she's like,
right.
She looks at a Satan book, or a satanic book, and is like, oh, look, a triangle. And you're like, okay, this is a bit of a stretch, because you could have written those down any sort of way.
Yeah, and I feel like it had to do with every child's birthday is the 14th, but they were not killed on their birthdays. They were killed on a set number of days before or after their birthday. Mm-hmm. And when you look at those dates, it makes the upside down triangle, which I don't know I don't know anything about satanic cults, but it's a symbol for something.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I agree, is a little bit of a, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Because, I feel like
it was a stretch,
It was a stretch.
And they could have went in that direction for sure, but I think they could have went in that direction better.
I think so.
Because
they could have totally played into, okay, we're in a satanic cult now, and here's my theory going true. Woo! But, like, they just didn't. They kind of, like, had that little thing. And then, again, there was another, like, kind of trail that just kind of didn't get resolved. Almost.
Yeah. So while she's looking up at all of these dates and all this stuff, she decodes all of Longlegs' notes that they have found at the family homes, and she recognizes that all of these notes reference the Cameraman family farm. That's every
I must have missed that part.
Yeah, every note says that, by Longlegs, says that he had such a fun time at the Cameraman farm. So the Cameraman family farm actually had one sole survivor out of the situation. Her name is Carrie Ann, because she was at school when it all went down, but she's now in an asylum. So Harker comes to her boss with this information, and they decide to visit the abandoned farm. While looking through the farm, they go into one of the barns, they go upstairs, they see a cross nailed down to the floorboards upstairs, and they're able to pull up the floorboards, and we see a large doll hidden underneath the floorboard.
It's so creepy.
It is definitely creepy. I
thought at first, when that scene first happened, I was like, is this a, like, embalmed child?
I thought it was like a mummy. Yes, it looked like weird.
I thought it was something on those lines where it was like, here's someone who was in the family who they mummified and just buried under the floorboard for decades or however long it was there. So it was like one of those things I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, and this was another point where I was like, where are we going? Okay, because we're talking about Satan. She's a psychic. Now there's dolls. Mom's tits are getting cut off. What's happening here?
What kind of movie is this?
It's like, what have we signed ourselves up for?
Yeah. So
and Nicolas Cage.
But well, we can't complain about Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is perfect. Okay. So they take the doll to the coroner, which I thought was really funny. So,
I know. I thought that was. Yeah.
And they show the coroner.
A little cheeky.
Yeah. They show the coroner, he's done checking the doll out, and he's like, well, this was beautifully crafted, and it was...
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he's going on and on about how awesome the doll is.
Yeah, that's right. He was going into, like, such detail about the face and how it was, like, this perfect porcelain, and how the body fabric stitching is so intricate and unique. And I'm like... What? Again, what is this? Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't trust that guy now. Who the fuck knows all that?
Who trusts people who know too much about dolls? No one in horror movies. Like, that's just not a thing you do.
And I mean, that's not like part of being a coroner, right? It's
it's
dissecting. To dissect a doll.
No. But he does say that the dolls do have human hair.
That's true.
So I was like, I clocked that because I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, you paid attention to I think I was still taken aback by the fact that he knew so much about doll making.
And so the coroner does talk about this magnetic ball that is found in the head of the dolls, which is kind of like the brain of the dolls. And he says, well, look, check it out. It's weird and it's magnetic. And he sets an ultrasound to this metal ball, and it starts to create this high-pitched noise. At this point, Harker has, like, a psychic vision. Like, the noise affects Harker, and she sees an old shot of Carrie Ann being attacked by Longlegs. I think it's Carrie Ann, because that would have been Carrie Ann's doll, because it was her house.
Yeah. I just wrote down that we see Longlegs visit the camera family.
Okay.
And that when... This is a trend, too, like, throughout the movie, whenever the whistle happens, there's a flashback. And she, like, remembers something about that family because of this metallic object that's in the doll's head.
Yeah, she's almost having, like, a That's So Raven moment.
It is. I was, like, definitely thinking about that when we were watching this movie. I was like, this is, like, the creepy version of That's So Raven.
That's So Raven. All right, so... We move on to our... I did like That So Raven as a kid.
Really like that series growing up.
So we move on to our next scene, and I was really shocked by this scene because we see Longlegs driving. he's driving in his car. And it's Nicolas Cage, and he's looking the same as we saw him the first time.
Longlegs.
Yeah, he's looking like a Longlegs. I think he's wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, I think it's like, it literally is just him in the car now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this thing can drive?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, he's a normal person?
He's just a normal person that runs around town and just...
Yes. Doing his errands,
Yeah.
Needed some groceries.
Yeah.
And so,
he literally goes to a convenience store.
He goes to a parts store, and I saw that he put...
Oh, that's right.
He put some earplugs down, and there was something else, but I couldn't tell what the other thing was. I didn't see it.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, so he put earplugs and something else on the counter, and there is a young girl working the counter, and he starts being so freaking weird with this young girl.
So weird.
Yeah, so he puts his hands over his eyes, a little bit like over his head, and he starts flapping his hands. Yeah. And he's making the cuckoo noise and saying all this weird stuff. And so the girl like calls her dad, and she's like, "Daddy, that
old weird guy is here again.
Weird guy is back." And so
he looks legit offended. He looks like sad. He's like, I don't want to be weird.
Yeah.
So we see him driving back after his interaction at the store, and Nicolas Cage is so freaking awesome because Longlegs just starts screaming. He goes, "Daddy!"
Oh, yeah.
Daddy! And it's so intense.
It is so intense and so startling. You're not, like, anticipating it, and it's just like,
so random.
What is happening right now?
Yeah, dude. And I was like, this is such a Nick Cage acting.
Oh my god, I forgot about that part.
And he just screams it like a couple of times. He's like
going
intense in his car,
It does go on for a while.
So after all that, which I don't really know the point of that scene. Was there
I don't know the point of a lot of the scenes.
So one of the things about that scene, though, is that the girl's birthday is the 14th. Because Longlegs asks her about whether she's born on the 14th, or like confirms that she was born on the 14th.
You're right. He does ask about her birthday.
And then she's like, "What do you want?" And that's when he does the weird eye hand thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like he's
mocking her.
Maybe? I don't know. I think it may have just been, "Hey, Nick Cage, do something weird with your fucking hands and be creepy at the same time."
I meant him yelling "Daddy."
Oh.
Like how, like mocking how she.
It could have been.
Yeah, I think that was him doing that.
Like him imitating her.
Yeah, because we see him do some imitations later too of himself.
We do,
and of
this is true.
Other people.
Yeah.
But we move forward. Harker and Sergeant Carter go.
Keeping us on track. I like it.
Harker and Sergeant Carter go to the asylum. They're going to go try to find Carrie Ann. Mm-hmm. And they see that in the logbook, someone signed in the day prior as Lee Harker. And so we're like, oh, who was that? And here I was like, was it Lee? Was it Lee Harker? Did she,
right? Did she like sleepwalk or something?
Yeah.
Like does she just not remember because she like
a demon?
Blacked out in her psychic thing? I don't know.
Yeah. So they speak with Carrie Ann. She says that she's seen Lee Harker before. She's like, I've seen you at my house before. And Lee's kind of like, I don't know what you're talking, I don't know. They have a weird interaction, and Carrie Ann explains kind of what happened with her family, and we do see a flashback as she's explaining it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she received the doll. Her family started going crazy. We see a scene like where her mom's just stabbing the doll, and then her dad is like sitting with the doll on his lap, but Carrie Ann seems to like Longlegs. She's like defending him, and she starts saying stuff about how she might just would want to kill Harker. And I'm like,
maybe that's some like Stockholm syndrome shit.
Maybe. I don't really know. That's another. I don't really understand that scene.
Yeah, that's fair. I also wrote down here, because Carrie Ann recognized Harker, I was like, wow, is Longlegs merged with Harker? And so he can just take the form of whoever it is? Or is it she sees Longlegs in Harker, and so she recognizes her that way? There were like a lot of questions for me in that.
Yeah. No.
And I was like, is that why Harker is psychic? Because Longlegs has merged with her, or some sort of thing.
See, and I like all of those ideas, and
Yeah. Sadly, none of them were. Although maybe they don't connect the dots because they want...
I feel like they do kind of on this part.
Really?
Well, I don't understand why... I just don't remember. I don't understand why she saw Harker at her house. That part I don't understand, though. Did they connect that?
So, I think so. And when we get there, I'm going to give you my theory on how I think they connect to her house.
Okay.
Because I think it has to do with her mom.
Okay. I'm interested because
I was wondering that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her recognizing her mom instead of Harker herself.
Oh, gotcha.
Do you know?
I do.
But when we get to like the final parts, I'll kind of go into why I think that a little bit more.
Okay, so we move forward. We are at the PD headquarters.
Oh, one thing I wanted to interject here because when Carrie Ann's dad is killing her mom, we see it from the doll's perspective.
Yes.
And I think that's important to note because I feel like that gives us a little clue into like that the dolls are an animated being.
Like they're like an entity of some
sort.
Right.
That there's something going on and these dolls are...
Dolls, like the shell for that brain
thing. Right. Yeah.
But also when her dad was going crazy, we see somebody walk into the house. Remember, we see somebody walk into the house. It's the first person that the dad kills. It's like a pastor or something.
Oh, that's
like that.
Right. Yeah, it was a pastor.
And the pastor looked towards the camera that was in the room and almost gave this like nod, like he knew the person.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I thought that was a little weird. Yeah. But I do agree that I do think, you know, everything that we were seeing was from the doll's perspective, but I'm like, why is the pastor saying hi to the doll?
Exactly.
And I don't know if it was a pastor, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, he had the pastoral.
He did.
He had the collar on.
That's what. That's when
you said that, I was like, oh yeah, he did have a collar on. So
yeah, a lot of. I feel like there was a lot to unpack there.
There was, yeah.
So back at HPD headquarters, or I said HPD. PD headquarters, Harker believes that the doll is somehow being controlled by Longlegs or that he has an accomplice. Accomplice. Wow.
Yes.
But Sergeant Carter, he doesn't believe her. Like, he's
very, very skeptical of this, and I think that was obviously ill-founded.
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
I think so.
Yeah.
Go with it.
So, Carter is like, hey, when's the last time you talked to your mom? And I was like, why is he asking about that? That's freaking weird. And he explains to Harker that, hey, your birthday is on the 14th, and I looked at your file, and your mom called 911 the day before your birthday saying somebody was trying to break in. And he's like, you don't remember that? And Harker does not remember. And so...
And it was her 9th birthday. I wrote that down.
Yes. And so he orders Harker to go speak with her mom about this. So Harker does. She drives over to her mom's house, and this is where we see her mom is a hoarder, possibly a drug addict. There's a lot of drugs there that she finds.
Yeah, there was a lot. That woman was stressed out.
Yeah, she kind of had this hippie vibe, but like druggy hippie that like did too much or something, you know? And at first I was like, man, maybe she's sick. Maybe that was like she has a bunch of medication because she's sick. I don't know, but I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Harker and her mom are talking. Harker does confide in her mom. No, I don't say my prayers because her mom asks again. And her mom just laughed and was like, yeah, it's true. The prayers really don't help, huh? And I was like, oh, okay, that's like the realest conversation I've heard them have. Like, cool, good. So Harker walks around. She sees this locked door with a ton of keys sitting next to it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was so wild.
And then a cockroach comes from out of the door, and Harker falls back into another flashback. And she has a flashback of the night her mom called the police. But all we really see is that her mom walks over to the door with a shotgun.
That's right.
In that flashback. That's all we see. She goes and asks her mom about that night. And her mom says, I don't remember anything from that night. You don't either, you know? And they kind of have this it's a weird tense feeling. Harker's mom goes on this crazy monologue about how Harker was allowed to grow up and...
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, she says a bunch of weird stuff and then ends with saying, you know, one thing, I've never thrown out anything. All your stuff's still in your room. And I'm like, these are the most random things to be saying right now.
Yeah, and didn't she say something like, little things aren't allowed to live? I wrote that down because I was like, what in the absolute heck is this woman talking about right now? That little things aren't allowed to live. Anyway.
But I thought it was weird because, she's like, oh, all your stuff's in your room, go check, basically. And
right.
I'm like, are you trying to hide this or not hide this? What's
or maybe,
happening?
like, try to poke at, like, hey, maybe there's something in your room you need to find.
Yeah, which is exactly what I think she is doing, but I don't understand why. Harker goes up to her room, looks for clues, and then we see her back at her house with a childhood trunk that she brought back from her mom. While looking through the trunk, she finds some old Polaroids, and while looking through the Polaroids, she finds one of Longlegs. So she brings this picture to her boss. Yeah. Next, we move to a new scene, and we see Longlegs making a doll.
I was like, I don't remember what exactly was happening, but I wrote in my notes, that face transition was wild. That's all I have.
Is it just like a face transition from her straight to Longlegs?
I think it was.
Up? Yeah.
Because it's like a that's what it was.
Right there.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I was like, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And also goes into they're fused. Somehow.
Oh, yeah. I could see that now, like, as...
they are one.
Yeah. It's a scene jump, and we see Longlegs. He is at home, and he is making dolls. His home is, like, very dark and dingy. He has a bed on the floor. It's, it almost looks like the first house you would have when you first get a home.
Right.
Like a studio kind of apartment. But he's making this doll, and they show that he is putting a lot of care into the dolls. They show the metal balls and everything. And the next thing we see is Longlegs waiting at a bus stop. And he's got some bags, which we can assume that he has the doll in, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So the cops pull up and arrest him.
Yeah.
Just off the bat. Like, Harker had found that picture. Now they knew who they were looking for. I did feel like they found him really quickly, though.
They did find him really quickly, but they also don't really say how big this town is.
That's true. It does. Whenever they're driving, it kind of looks small.
Yeah, it does kind of gives the feel of a small town. Mm-hmm. Just with obviously a serial killer case is going to be big, but it's almost like they all know each other, and it's all kind of like a small town where everybody knows everybody. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to figure out who the hell is killing all these families.
Yeah, I'd agree. I do think it's small town vibes, so somebody could have been like, oh yeah, that's the weird guy that always waits at that bus stop.
Exactly, yeah.
So we move forward to the interrogation room where Longlegs is now being kept, and we learn his name is Dale Cobble, and he begins asking for Lee Harker. So he's in the interrogation room. It's kind of being, not recorded, but like played on a TV outside of the room so that all the other officers are in there watching. Harker is in there watching. And he just starts saying like crazy shit. Yeah. And at first it seems like a whole bunch of nothing, but he's almost like repeating things that he has said in the past is what I saw in that. So he starts singing happy birthday in the camera in the interrogation room to Lee Harker. And it is like the most chilling happy birthday. He's like crying and but Harker agrees to talk to him. So she goes in there, and again, Dale Cobble, Longlegs, he's just so weird. Nicolas Cage did such a good job. He's just like, there she is, the birthday girl. And I'm like, oh, this guy's fucking freaky, man.
Seriously, so creepy.
Yeah, he starts saying all these random things. She asks who he's working with, and she believes there is another family that is going to die. Because, again, today's the 14th. I guess somewhere in her research, she was like, there should be one more that's got to go or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that was like going back to that triangle thing that she had written on the paper. She was like, I know that there's a family that's going to die on this day because of how the pattern is.
Yes.
And the completion of the pattern.
And so
and that thing that she was using is called a microfilm reader because all of the newspaper clippings are stored on microfilm, and so it just is like essentially zooms in like a microscope for the microfilm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learned 2 things today.
Now, Harker's boss doesn't believe there is somebody else. Harker's boss is like, we got him. But Harker does believe there's someone else, and so she's asking him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, it's just a friend of a friend. Mr. Downstairs.
A friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. I was like, how many friends do we have?
And she's like, well, who is Mr. Downstairs? And he goes, why don't you ask your mother? Hail Satan! And then
Then literally yeets his head onto, like, literally just starts smashing his face into the table.
He's just bashing his face, and his nose is falling out.
His nose is compressed. It's like completely broken. He's just completely bashed his skull in, and what did he say? What was the last
scene. It's a good gory scene.
It was fun. An alarming, like, shocking gory scene. He says something, like, right before he does that, like, final blow that kind of...
I thought it was just the Hail Satan.
Was it the Hail Satan at the very
Hail
end?
Satan,
okay.
And then he just, bah!
Yeah.
And starts hitting his head.
I don't mean to laugh. It was just, like, alarming.
It was great.
It was startling.
It was fantastic. That was a fantastic... I think... Was that the first kill? Is it, like... The on scene, like the first kill we've seen.
Well, no, because we saw that one guy that got shot, her partner.
Yeah, you're right.
And then in the flashbacks, we see
we do see some stabbing in the flashbacks.
Yeah, okay, and like
I have to do this when I say stabbing,
of course.
Yes, natural,
as any sane person would. So after Longlegs has bashed his face in and killed himself, Harker and another cop. Don't really know this cop. I just literally call her Lady Cop.
Lady Cop.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
not to go backwards, but I did write down in my notes that before he killed himself, he did say that there are parts of me everywhere and I will not die, and that there are 7 girls like her.
Okay.
So he did mention that there are 7 little girls like Harker, I mean. Mm-hmm. And that there are parts of him everywhere, so he's not dying.
Yes.
But then he smashes his face into the table.
Well, he dies there.
That corporal representation of him died.
Yes. And the thing is, he says a lot of stuff in that part. I was just like, I don't know.
There was so much happening.
I was like, I don't know how to get that in there cohesively,
there was no cohesion.
And there was no cohesion to what he was saying. It almost felt random, and then when later on we find out like it was not that random.
Right.
I mean, it was random in a way.
It was.
So Harker and Lady Cop, they decide to go to Harker's mom's house. She sees that the door is open. Harker is nervous. She enters the house. She tells the Lady Cop to stay, and the Lady Cop's like, all right, yeah, you got this. So Harker enters the house. I think she's got her gun drawn. She's looking around, looking inside, calling for her mother. And then we get a cut scene to her mother standing outside of the police cruiser with a shotgun. Just blast Lady Cop right away.
Yes.
Yeah, just...
Literally, the cop's still in the car, just blows her brains. Yep. And then walks around to the other side and does it again. Yep.
So Harker hears the gunshot, looks out the window, and sees her mother now on the other side of the car, shooting Lady Cop yet again, which I'm like, dude, that's a shotgun. Like, that one shot was enough.
One was enough.
Like, one shot straight to the dome, she's gone. Like, second shot was overkill. Harker runs outside. She sees her mom standing in a field. We see a doll standing across from Harker's mom, and Harker's mom has her gun pointed at the doll now. I think her and her mom have a little bit of dialogue here. I don't remember anything too important.
So I wrote down that the mom killed the agent and shoots the doll in the head. And then there's some ringing. So she gets a flashback.
Yeah, and that's what happens. I think they said stuff before her mom shot the doll.
I think so.
But I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And so, yeah, her mom does shoot the doll in the head. It breaks that ball brain thing. Ringing happens. Harker goes unconscious. Mm-hmm. Is this where we get the backstory of everything that happened to Harker?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So this is where I started writing that she disclosed how the doll maker came to their house. It's the work of the devil with a little bit of him in each one. So, like, the doll maker is a separate person that makes the dolls and creates them and then works the devil into every doll.
Which is Longlegs.
Longlegs was the doll
and
maker.
Longlegs was that doll maker.
Yes.
Well, now he's dead, but
yeah. And
he was that person.
Going back into the past of that original opening scene where we see Harker as a child, Longlegs shows up. We do find out he puts a part of him in every doll, or a part of Satan, or whatever that might be. And Harker forgets everything she's seeing because of the doll. That's something I didn't understand. Something to do with that metal ball made it so Harker wouldn't remember. We find out that the devil wanted Harker for whatever reason. It's something to do with that maybe the birthday on the 14th. So the mom begs for them to be spared, and in return, which she does get spared, and Harker gets spared, but in return she has to work with Dale Cobble. She kind of sells her soul to the devil. So,
literally.
Yeah. Her
not
job,
kinda,
I guess not kinda. Her job is to deliver the evil dolls to unsuspecting families as a prize gift from a local church. And she is even dressed up like a nun. She's dressed up like a sister.
Yeah, almost like an Amish lady. I got like Amish lady vibes.
Yeah, she has the habit on. And
man,
is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, it's like the whole like brown.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
habit, yeah.
So yeah, we learn the other person he is working with is Harker's mom. Mm-hmm. And also during this scene where Harker's mom and him are interacting and blah blah blah, all that crazy shit he was saying in the interrogation room, he was actually saying in the past, and he was just repeating at random in the interrogation room.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. Harker wakes up.
Close that loop.
Yep. So that loop is closed. We got one thing closed here.
Yeah,
thank God.
one.
And let me tell you, if somebody came to my house and was like, "You won something for free. This is your gift." That would absolutely
take this creepy doll that, like, I wrote down on another page that the dolls are special dolls that look just like the little girls.
Yeah, they do. They are made after the image of the girls that they're being given to. But I'm telling you, right now, there's something wrong with me where I'm like, oh, it's free? Yeah, absolutely. You're like, wait, I won something? I will take it. Like, I'll hide it in my closet.
Throwing that doll away.
I'm like,
here's this creepy doll that looks just like you. Don't you want to keep it on your bedside table?
See, and I would be like, oh my God, thank you. It's free. I have to take it in. And then I would put it in the closet. You know, I'd be like, all right, we're going to just hide. Or maybe I'd hide it under my floorboard. I don't know.
With a cross nailed
With a cross nailed to the top. So Harker wakes up in her mom's basement.
Did we say that the mom was required to watch every killing?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah. And that's like a very important thing because, like, the mom delivers the doll does what the doll does, and then the mom has to stay and witness the entire family die.
To make sure the job is done.
Yeah. And that's part of her contract as well.
Wait a second. Was her mom at Carrie Ann's house?
Yeah. And that's where... That's why and this is where we come into my previous statement of we're going to get there because Carrie Ann recognized Harker.
Yeah.
Was Harker with her mom?
Or was it because like a younger version of her mom?
Exactly.
That looked like Harker now.
Exactly.
And it would make sense of why when that guy, the pastor, walked into the house, he looked over and kind of like, hey, you know? Mm-hmm. Because we weren't seeing maybe from the doll, maybe we were seeing from Harker's mom.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Or we were seeing from the doll, but he saw Harker's mom.
Yeah, who
Harker's
was with
mom
the doll.
Is dressed in religious garb, and he's like, hello, sister.
Yeah.
I recognize you.
Yeah.
And then here I go get stabbed.
Look at us. We're just closing loops here. Because I was like, yo, what the hell was that? You know? So I like this. We're talking through some stuff.
Yeah, we are talking through some major plot holes.
Yeah. So yeah, Harker wakes up in...
seemingly plot holes.
She wakes up in her mom's basement. And this is where we see, like, this is Longlegs' room that we saw earlier. This is how, like, he was living the whole time in her mom's basement. Just underneath her feet.
Yeah.
So she wakes up, there's a phone ringing, and she answers the phone, and it's a demonic voice saying she's late for Miss Ruby's birthday party. I was like, man, demons have to call? Well, like, can they not do it? Can they just... Like,
how else would they correspond?
Like, how much does that call cost, you know?
Is that pre or post, like, international phone calls being a thing?
Like, they can only call after 9 p.m.
Call collect.
Yeah. So,
do you accept a call from...
Do you accept a Oh my God. Oh, Lord. Do you accept a call from the seventh circle of hell?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's
666.
Chat. Yeah.
Stop.
So Harker finds Dale Cobble's car hidden away at her mom's house, which is reinforcing that, yes, he has been living there this whole time, which is super weird.
It's super weird. And it's that car from the very first scene.
Yep.
Because it's like an old Volvo station wagon. It's like super recognizable.
Which I thought was super cool.
Yeah, I did too.
I want one of those cars. So she drives over to Sergeant Carter's house and walks inside, sees that her mom is already there, and Ruby, the young girl, already has her new doll. Mm-hmm. Everyone is acting super weird.
And also, they're the only ones there. And I keep wanting to say Harper.
I said Harper so many times in my notes.
Harker is the only person outside of those 4 people that was, quote unquote, invited to this birthday party. Like, what a drab birthday party for
real. And it's grown up. It's not even like a friend. Like a child friend.
Yeah.
Thank God that nobody else was invited.
Well, there was a reason for that.
Well, so she goes inside. Her boss is being like super aggressive. He's being really aggressive with his wife. Her mother is basically right in front of them, just being like, hey, there's nothing you can do. Like, the wife's already dead. Like, I mean, the wife's not dead. She's sitting right there. But the mom's like, hey.
Like
it's going to happen.
It's already set in stone. Mm-hmm. This is what's going to happen. You just have to accept it, kind of.
And the mom tells her, and if you try to do anything, like, we're going to twist and burn in hell forever. Mm-hmm. At this point, Sergeant Carter gets up, goes to the kitchen with his wife. And you can hear...
they were cut the cake.
They were going to cut the cake.
And he's like, well, I'm going to come back in a second. And the wife's like, yeah, me too. And he's like, no. It's just like, I'm coming back. You're going to
stay in the kitchen is like basically what he said. And it's just like, they walk away and he just stabs his wife.
So it was like covert.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Like, well, I might leave the kitchen, but you're going to be bleeding out on the floor. Sorry, hon. Like,
yeah, pretty much. And we hear him, like, stabbing her and her, like, you know, kind of, I don't think she was really fighting it, but, you know, her being murdered noises.
Right.
And Carter comes out of the kitchen. He's covered in blood. Lee Harker has her gun pointed on him and is like, don't touch this little girl. Like, it's not happening. So... The boss starts moving forward. Harker shoots him in the chest 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. Her mom is super mad about this. And I don't know if her mom, who was sitting on the couch, her mom stands up with a knife suddenly. I don't know if she was going to attack Harker or if she was going to attack the daughter.
So I think she was going to attack the daughter.
That's what I thought,
because the daughter has to die.
Mm-hmm.
To complete that triangle. And essentially, it seems like this, because she has the same birthday as Harker. Mm-hmm. And is the same age, because I think it has to do with like the age that they're turning on that 14th or whatever. So essentially, I think it was Harker
also her 9th grade.
Or this little girl, because they're finally made it back around to needing to replace, you know, Harker's spot in the triangle.
So either way, her mom stands up, gonna stab somebody, probably the daughter, and Harker shoots her mom right in the head. And I was
literally,
like, damn.
I was like, first of all, good shot.
Yeah.
And second of all, like, holy mommy issues to have to shoot your mom in the head. Right? Like, whoa.
Makes cutting her tits off not look so bad.
And, you know, she was, well, no, I don't know.
That's true.
She does turn her gun on the doll. She wants to shoot the doll, get rid of the doll. She tries to, but she's out of bullets. Mm-hmm. And then,
even though she hadn't actually run out of a clip.
I know. I'm like,
was it a revolver?
Like
it was a revolver.
Yeah,
but there should have been 6 or 7.
I thought it was. Well,
I actually don't know how many
in the chamber, right?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Look at you knowing gun knowledge. I had no idea that was a thing.
She shot like 3 shots.
Yeah.
4 tops.
Yeah. And so she obviously had some, but forces preventing such things to happen. AKA El Diablo.
Yes. Oh man, you know, we're gonna have to start recording for YouTube because Sally just did the best thing ever. Well, with devil horns. So we get the end credits after that. The doll doesn't get killed. We get the end credits, which roll backwards. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like,
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Final thoughts on this movie.
Okay.
Sally, do you want to start or you want me to start?
Oh, you can start.
Okay.
And I'll fill in.
I think this movie had a lot of potential. It had potential to be an okay movie. I don't think it was ever going to be something that you would write home about or anything like that. Because I didn't really feel like any aspect of this movie was specifically, like, original. Or just, like I said multiple times through it, I just didn't think it was like done that well. It felt really messy. It felt like they tried to go in a ton of different directions to make it work, but it wasn't very cohesive in how they were displaying it to us. And I just felt like things weren't explained. Like, who is Longlegs? He's just a guy who is satanic.
Yeah.
He's doing this for Satan, but how and why and how do we get here?
Yeah.
And if so, why wasn't... I don't know. I felt like Satan wasn't very prevalent. It was always like, oh, well, Longlegs is in the dolls, you know? And so it's just like, what is this exactly doing for Satan? You know? Or maybe Satan doesn't need a reason. You know, he just wants to fuck shit up. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I do feel like if they would have went in like, oh, this is a crazy person, and this is, as detectives, we are searching for this crazy person, I think that could have worked. Or if they wanted to go in this satanic route, I think if they went more with that, then I also think that could have worked. But I feel like we did this weird mesh of everything.
Yeah, it's like when two songs, like a really bad mashup.
Yeah.
Of 3 different songs that just came together and just was like, well, none of those beats matched.
Yeah, it's
kind
like
of how I thought of it.
I agree. And I thought the doll concept was a little strange. Like I said, just getting his, like, okay, he's in the doll, and I don't know. I thought it was a little bit of a weak concept. And I think dolls are creepy. I think, you know, like, I've seen movies with dolls, and I'm like, oh, that was creepy, you know? And this one, I don't know. Did the mother go crazy? Because towards the end, she seemed like no longer like she was just doing this to take care of themselves anymore. It seemed like she, by doing it, has also now been affected by Satan.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I mean, at a certain point, you probably become desensitized.
Right.
To a degree. And you have also had to, like, justify doing this horrific thing to where you almost, like, believe that you are right. You know, or what you're doing is okay.
Because she's doing it for her
also,
daughter.
You know, she might have gone a little crazy. I mean, it's pretty, like,
well, she is watching people die,
like,
so.
I mean, she's
dude
watching
living
people...
in your basement and, like, constantly having to, you know, be in this role.
Also, we'll come back to this. You finish your final thoughts, so I'm going to...
So
I'm going to spout some conspiracy theories.
Okay. And this is my longest final thoughts I've ever written, because this is the first movie for the podcast that I watched. I was like, I don't think I like that. You know?
That's fair.
I also was like, okay, so what's with the Longlegs? Why is he called Longlegs? Why is that the name? And so I tried to look it up, and the director said, I just thought it was cool.
Okay, bro.
Yeah,
like, what?
Like, I just thought it was a cool, creepy name. I was like, oh, that's lame.
But,
you know?
Okay, let's just parse that for a second, because when I think of Longlegs, I think of Daddy Longlegs, and they are literally so sweet.
I know.
And they're
also very poisonous.
They're very poisonous. Okay, that's true.
But they can't bite you.
But they can't bite.
Pierce humans.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's what I think of. And I always remember, like, playing with Daddy Longlegs as a kid, because I was a little weird.
I also did. I like to pick them up by their
I did
that
not.
was a little more torturous, but
I mean, I didn't like rip their legs off or anything.
Okay, that's fair.
Judge much.
I didn't play with spiders. I was normal.
I only played with those spiders because I knew they didn't hurt me.
That makes sense. So I do have some positives, though. I have some positives. Harker is a cool character.
Oh,
She's a strong, like, lead
badass
character. I thought she was badass. I thought her acting was done really well. Like, she's off and awkward, but brilliant at the same time. And I feel like they did a really good job of making us, like, connect pretty early on with her. Like, I found early on, I was like, oh, I kind of care about this character already, you know? But also the whole psychic thing, just drop that shit. Why did you put that in there?
Yeah, there was no reason for it.
No reason.
It was just a character trait that just kind of never evolved into anything else. Except for maybe one time.
Yeah.
So really, it was
pointless.
It really felt kind of pointless.
Yeah, it felt like red herring again.
I feel like if they had picked like one lane, maybe 2 lanes, instead of trying to focus energy on all of the lanes and just kind of cherry pick things they liked from every other horror movie ever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, if you had kind of committed to an idea and went with it, it could have been a lot more solid.
Another positive, Nicolas Cage playing Longlegs. Perfection. It's perfection. He was eccentric. He had a strange voice. He had all these weird movements.
He did.
His makeup was awful, but in the best way.
What was he like a Saw Joker clown?
So montage,
I did like Milan, whatever I'm trying to say.
I did look up
combined.
He's supposed to be like almost like somebody from the 70s who got really bad like Botox and things like that. Like, you know, because
was he supposed to look like that?
Yes.
That was what he was supposed to look like? Mm-hmm. A terrible botched Botox job?
Like Botox and like surgery, like from like, yeah, like that's I looked it up and that's what the
director said? Yeah. Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Because that was not what I got.
Like the dolls?
No, it's just, you know, like from if people had...
No, because the dolls were exquisite, remember? Yeah. The coroner said so.
Back in the... I think back in the 70s and 80s, probably when people were getting this, like all these surgeries done, like they weren't done as well as they are today. And so, you know, you see some older people...
What was his motivation to have them done in the first place?
I don't know. They didn't explain the basic stuff in this movie. They're not going to explain that. I don't know.
I'm just... I would like
we get none of his backstory.
Yeah, but anyway,
Suffice it to say.
I thought he was great. I was repulsed by him. And that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Last positive is that this movie did like really hook you right off the bat when that partner got shot in the face.
Yes.
Like I said, 0 to 100, and you were like, oh, okay, I'm here for it. So that was a really strong scene. Otherwise, I don't remember any specifically crazy cinematography, or the score doesn't really stand out to me.
No, not really.
So yeah, that's my final thoughts on the movie. Sorry it was so long. I had a lot of thoughts.
That's okay. Yeah, this one is very thought-provoking, and this movie I enjoyed because it's one of those that I like to sometimes think when I'm watching a movie. Sometimes I just want to sit and watch a comedy and not have to think about anything. But for the most part, I like to be mentally stimulated when I'm watching something. And this did that for me because I feel like throughout the movie I was just like, oh, what about this theory? What about this theory? What about this theory? And
I was just like, you're trying to figure out what's going on.
I'm constantly trying to figure out what was going on, and none of the things made sense that were going on. So I feel like that for me is kind of my final thought, where, like you said, it wasn't super cohesive. Mm-hmm. And there were so many plot holes that you kind of just have to be like, okay, that just exists. That was just a thing that they just threw in there.
Yeah.
And that's just there. And we're just going to move on from it because it doesn't ever appear anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there was a lot of that, a little more to my like more than I would like to see, because I'm like, at least some cohesiveness, or make a sequel. But I don't know how they would make a sequel.
Maybe of the 7 others like her, or something.
Right? Or because I had a theory that it has to remain at 7 because of
the triangle.
Yeah, something is symbolic about there being 7 of them. Are there 7 horsemen? No, there's 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yes, there's 7 circles of hell.
7 circles of hell. So that could be something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they explore some of those more like satanic kind of base things, that might be interesting to see. But as it stands, it was kind of like, okay, she caught this guy, but now we still have this question of like, where did these...
what happens to Ruby?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what happens to Ruby?
Does she
now become like Carrie Ann and Harker? And who takes the place of Harker's mom of delivering the dolls? Well,
and at this point, there's, it's either got to be Harker or Ruby, and they're both alive. So yeah, somebody's gonna come or try Carrie to kill them, right? Well, Carrie Ann wasn't the one who had the birthday, though. I think.
She did.
That was Carrie Ann? Because they said she was at school when everything happened.
Yeah, but it was still her birthday and it was her doll.
I feel like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I like you.
Going back to the incohesive plot holes.
No, like you, I also enjoy kind of the like puzzle and like, ooh, what could this mean? And entertaining different theories along the way. And yeah, we'll kind of even be in like a competition to figure it out. Like totally relatable.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like, not that there's been plenty of movies where it's ended and not every like question has been answered or every loop closed. And it's kind of fun to be able to think of like, ooh, like maybe they meant this thing. And
right.
For
open-ended on a reason.
This one was like not a satisfying ending for me. I'm like, there were too many things that were just left. And I, had figured out along the way, like, oh, okay, like the mom is involved and some of that. But yeah, there were too many like kind of little spin-off, one-off, red herring, this and that I'm just like, okay, is there actually meaning there?
Right.
Like, was that just like somebody's little like homage to something else that they, I don't know. For me, it just felt too like disjointed.
Longlegs just being a cool name. I mean,
I thought that was crazy.
I was wondering, like, is that a saying? Like, put on your long legs? Then I Googled it. It's not. But
I appreciate that you Googled it though.
But ChatGPT told me that it's kind of like putting on your big girl pants. It's like a similar saying. I was like, ooh, like I could see like if I really
ChatGPT coming in clutch.
I know, right? I'm like,
the future is AI.
Like they all are kind of having. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so favorite kill.
Favorite kill? Oh, the policeman.
So I thought the police
at the door
was a solid kill.
Yeah.
Favorite kill?
Oh, I don't have one.
You don't have a favorite kill?
No, I don't think about things like that.
There's 12. So there's 12 on-screen kills in this movie. You don't have one 12? Favorite? Yeah.
Okay.
What were all 12?
I don't remember all of them.
Oh my god, are we gonna name them all?
Well, when they showed, the families killing everybody, like each time one of them died, that counted as one. The partner, the lady cop, the mom. I mean, there was oh, well, you know what? Carter and his wife. Carter was on screen, his wife was not. So maybe make that 11. But anyway, my favorite kill though, Longlegs.
That's fair.
And he smashed.
And he smashed his face in the thing.
Good.
That was my favorite. But I do think the cop partner was the most shocking kill.
That's fair.
Yeah. Final rating of the movie out of 5 stars.
You want me to go first?
If you don't want to, I am looking at you, but I can go first if you want.
I think I'm gonna say 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Just because I liked it. I liked the storyline overall. There were just a lot of things that I didn't like as well. So it was like this middle of the line. There were a lot of things that I liked. There were a lot of things that I didn't like. So yeah, 2.5.
2.5? Okay.
Yeah.
Final rating?
You know I don't like doing this.
I know. It's your least favorite question.
It's my least favorite. 2.25.
She always says the most random ratings.
I was like, is she going to come out with...
She'd be like 2.64. I'm like, what?
Actually, that sounds better.
2.085. Like, what kind of math are we doing here?
At least the closest 10th, okay?
The closest 10th.
All right, then a 2.2.
A 2.2.
I'm not rounding up, we're rounding down.
That's fine. So...
Hilarious.
Just because, I mean, again, I feel like this movie had potential and just fell short pretty consistently throughout the movie.
Yeah, pretty consistently, yes.
You know, I thought Nicolas Cage was great. I thought that I still
chuckle to myself that he was Longlegs. Like, it's just such like a oh god, cracks me up.
Yeah, I again, for the potential and for Nicolas Cage, 2.2.
All right. I rated this a 2 out of 5 stars. And the only reason I did give it a 2 out of 5 was because the really strong lead character of Lee Harker, and because Nicolas Cage is fucking awesome. He did such a good job. So
he was great.
For me, that was the redeeming quality of this movie. Otherwise, I kind of already said everything else in my final thoughts. But I did find something really cool, and this will be the last thing that I show you guys, and I'm gonna try to like play it so that way it can actually come up in the audio too. But they had really cool marketing for this movie. And so one of the things was that there was a phone number that you could call regarding like this movie. Like nobody knew what was up with it, but people would call it and get this really weird message. So I'm going to call the phone number.
What?
And we'll play it.
Oh, that's awesome.
There she is. What's your name, little angel? Nice to meet you. Oh.
So that's what it says. And what's really cool awesome too is that it's an Oregon phone number, which is where everything took place.
Oh, that's awesome.
The fact that they still have this number, like, how old is this movie?
It was released in
2024.
Oh, that's not that long ago. Yeah. Why did I think it was way older?
I don't know. I think it was last fall. Okay. I think it was in the fall.
Well, still, the fact that they're just like, are they going to keep that phone number forever?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like they probably would.
I mean, at least for a couple of years. But yeah, if you could hear that, I hope you could. I'll have to listen back. But that is Nicolas Cage playing Longlegs.
Like what you were trying to say with the cuckoo. That's the voice that he used when he said that stuff at the beginning. So
and he sounds super creepy.
So creepy.
Solid performance by Nicolas Cage again. I'm kind of on a Nicolas Cage kick right now. It's the last movie I watched for B was a Nicolas Cage movie.
Nice. Calls that number. Sorry, I totally overtalked.
Oh no, you're fine.
What did you say?
So I wonder if he gets royalties every time somebody calls that number.
Oh,
probably not. I don't know.
We didn't delve into the whole Nicolas Cage thing, by the way, because I was like, why the hell is he playing in a horror movie? And you were like, because he's broke. And I was whoa.
Yeah, I did. I heard that from, I think B is the one who told me that.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, he broke. So he just, he's bad with money. I don't know if
that's
he's broke,
but
he went bankrupt and now he kind of just takes like all the movies that come his direction, I think.
But I have mad respect because he commits to a character.
He really does. He really does.
He might take all the movies, and as long as he continues to deliver, like, cool.
That's what I'm saying. Now I think I've talked about it on like several podcasts already, but I got to watch Pig.
Oh, I've never seen that.
It's a brand new Nicolas Cage movie where somebody steals his pig and he needs to go find his pig.
I've heard of this movie and I want to watch it so badly because it looks
can we watch it?
So silly.
It's like, what the hell? And he goes like, to try to find these people.
Yeah, I gotta find my pig.
Yeah.
What?
His beloved pet pig.
Yes.
But anyway,
I do love a pig.
That is the Longlegs movie 2024. This was really fun. Did you have fun?
I did.
Right.
I did very much.
I did not have fun.
You didn't have fun.
You didn't ask. But...
Well, you have to have fun. You're my wife.
I give this recording 1.87 stars.
Now she's just being hurtful. But
wild.
All right. Well, thank you, Sally, for hanging out.
Absolutely.
And I would love to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Cool. And Ashleigh, thank you. Thank you for hanging out.
You're very welcome.
So, I'll also would love to do this again with you.
The sass is strong with this one.
I would love to do it with you too.
All right, I'm going to end this recording now. I don't know. Goodbye. Now it's time for next week's movie reveal, which is The Ritual. I'll be joined with a very special guest next week. You can watch The Ritual on Netflix. Make sure you watch before listening to next week's episode. And as always, follow the show on Instagram at Blood Ink Podcast. And don't forget to send us your short stories or movie recommendations that you want us to watch. And send that over to bloodinkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out, guys.